Okay, we should be live. Let me double check the audio. Yes, looks good. Welcome back, guys. Sorry for didn't make the live yesterday, but I have some problem that keep me very busy, and I was not able to make any live yesterday, so I recovered in the first free moment that I had. So here we are. Today I have a lot of sanding and putty filler to apply to the helmet of Magneto, because I'm continuing to work on that one. So I will talk a little bit less, also because I'm a little bit sick also with the throat, and it will be more just that me sending, answer your question if you have any questions and see. So this one is the helmet. Last time I applied the resin with you, and as you can see here is already very smooth. I found there is one line here is where they change the filament, especially here. Here is more inside. Here I need to apply some putty filler now for cover. The other part is already looks very good just with the resin and one primer. I use the primer for see where are the defects. Here I found some more problem is where it is changing the seam here. That's why this part is always a little bit messy. I will try to recover today with the putty filler and see how it will come. So this one is the helmet anyway, except for this error here that sometimes the printer when they change filament left some marks. I don't know why. This one was the Cobra and it gave me this defect, but it's easy to recover now, except for that one and this part here that is always where is the seam. The other part, as you can see, is already very smooth. Here a little bit more to sand, but I still need to apply the putty filler. So now change view, autofocus, changing view, and start to paint. First one, let's remember where we start from. This one is the file. Is the file from Yosh Studios. Is one of his welcome file, I think, and is an amazing helmet. This one is the Magneto, and he barely entered on my V400. This one I printed with the PTG using the Cobra Max 2 when I was making a review of that printer. He prints very good despite that the small defect from the changing filament, and also because he's a bed slinger and he's a very tall file, I didn't expect that he was able to print so good, but I was quite impressed. So now it's time to make it more smooth. So let's change view again. Okay, so before start to apply the putty filler, I need to sand a little bit for remove some imperfection here and there, some extra part. So I'm using the 240 again because some defects are still very large, and let's work. and make it snow. Oof. Now that I remove the biggest part with some 320, I can go and try to sand here in the small gap. With my barely hands. Anyway, more you sand, better it is, so doesn't matter. If you're wondering, here you can see before, here I have one bucket that maybe you saw before from the other view that is full of water, because after apply the putty filler and sanding, I will start to sand with the 500 grams. And for use that one, I use the water for sand because it helps to make more smooth. But first I need to make all the part already very good. Okay, now that I remove most of the part, gloves I should wear earlier. Let me remove the watch. Somebody write anything here? No. Let me see. Hi everyone, like usual. Okay. Take some paper for apply the putty filler. Here is the cream that I'm using. Red oxide is a putty fillers that you can sand by water. There is much better around, I know. If you have the primer filler, it will be much better, but as you follow all my video live, I always says here I cannot find any primer filler, unfortunately. So I need to do in the old way. Try to apply here to make this edge smooth. I don't want to apply too much, otherwise after it would be more difficult to remove. As you can see, this one, the first time that I apply is already drying. So you need to be very, very fast when you apply this one. Of course, on the top. This product is used for cover all the helmet, so you will cover all the small gap and fill that is remaining even after the resin. And after you can sand with the water. And actually you need to repeat this process more and more time until you are not happy of the result. This is the last stage that you can do for cover all your imperfection. After you finish to apply this one, when you are happy, you can start to sand with water. And after it's time to paint, cover with a mask, and make all the nice stuff for paint your helmet. Normally for painting something like that, I use this normal spray can. Very cheap, very simple to use. Also because this one is just two-color helmet, so it's easy to cover. Now here I need to cover the gap on the lines. I want to try to don't spread it too much here because it's already very smooth. So if I apply more, I need to work more after to remove it. So just use it here on the line to cover it, like this one. Even if you have some holes, some imperfection, it works very good. Let's cover also here. All these small part edges here is where the printer change more often. The speed when it's printing is where you need to apply more post-production, because where you have more vibration, especially on a bed slinger. But I need to be honest, to be a bed slinger, I never thought you could print something very nice like this one. Okay, I can use the finger. Anyway, I have the gloves, so it's not a big problem. Every time when I need to find where I need to apply more sanding, I always pass a very thin layer of primer filler, a primer, the gray one, because it helped me to see better where I need to apply more sanding. Because otherwise, if you sand directly only after, it's more difficult to find where are the defects. It's important to apply very, very thin layers of spray. If you pass too much thinking, hey, if I pass more, I can cover all the imperfection. It's not exactly like this one, because the spray after will dry, and if you put too much spray in one part, it will start to leak down in other part and make a mess. So it's better apply thin layers. Okay. Here I need more. I can still see the gap. When you print, you didn't see, it's difficult to see all the small imperfection. When you start to primer the first time, they're much more obvious. That's why many times I like to use the matte print filament and don't sanding at all, because until you don't start to sand or paint with some spray, especially with the matte filament, most of the imperfection you will not see. So they give you this impression that is already super smooth. That's why I like so much the matte filament. But that matte filament are good only if you need to print something. First one, that it's just that color and you don't need to sand. And second, that is for exposition, because the matte PLA it's more fragile than the normal PLA, and it's more easy to break it. So it's better don't use the PLA, the matte PLA, for something that you need to wear outside, because it's more easy to break it. Okay, let's start to sand gently where I put the putty filler, where it's already dry. Now, I don't use the robot for sand, because if it's too aggressive, if it's not well dry, it will make a strange cream with the heat, with the reaction. So I found that after you apply the putty filler, it's better sand with the hand. Maximum what I can do is use something like this one, that is more tough. And this is too flat. Yes. I need to use the hand. Hit the center here. Our goal is to remove all the extra putty that I apply and keep only what is in the gap. Like this, I'm sure it will be very flat. For making this one, you need to have a lot of patience, a lot of time. Usually when I'm sanding like this one, I put a movie and start to watch something because it's taking hours. But this is because I want to make something very, very smooth. If you don't need something super smooth, maybe you can skip this process. This is already ruined. Let's apply more. After a while, if you're using the same paper, it's better change because it will consuming and not working anymore. That's why you need a lot of sandpaper. Yeah, I know. I told you at the beginning, for making the helmet very smooth is a lot of time. Normally this part, it's quite boring to do, but because on my Instagram, many people ask me, I want to see the full process, how to make the helmet, please. Can you show to me? I found that making the live, it's the best way. So the people, they can rewatch in any moment. They can see every single step. And if I have some problem, sometimes, because it's always happened that after you apply the primer, you say, oh, here is totally ruined, or here is not good. You can see what I can do for manage the problem and how to fix it. I use the paper to remove the extra dust, otherwise I cannot see anything. Anyway, usually the most critical part on the helmet are always the top here, and this one was already good enough for me. Where is the part here that it was the seam that he make this part a little bit more rough, and where are the support here? These are the three critical parts on this kind of helmet. After you manage to fix that part, you are ready to go. This one is difficult to reach. Only like this one, you don't have enough strength to sand it. That's the problem. That's why here usually the people use the primer filler. But we work on what we have. Finally, in these days, it stopped raining because it was 1 week that I was not able to pass the primer for the weather. I don't know if you remember last time also I told you, when the weather is too much humidity or it's raining, it's better don't use the spray, especially in the outside, because they make some reaction. Okay, they could make some reaction and ruin the texture of your print. That's why when it's raining, on the humidity it's very high, I cannot spray. Look, this is not. Yeah. Yeah, I can still feel some dirty. And now finally it stopped raining. It's super hot here in China, guys, these days. You can this part is where I need to pay more attention. Okay, here is drying enough. I can use a little bit of this one. help me a little bit. Almost ready for start to sand with the water. After sanding with the water, I stop to 500, apply the primer filler, the primer, and check how is the result. If it's still some imperfection, put the putty again, like now, sand again, and repeat until after I pass the primer, I'm not happy with the result. And in that case, I can continue to sand only with a wet sandpaper from 500 until 2000. And it will help me to make the helmet very, very smooth. It's still a long process. Luckily now, after I paint, I use the cure station from the Frozen Mega for they have the heating options like a cake to bake, and I can dry the paint very fast, because even if it's PTG, I don't want to left outside, because if some leaf dust see deposit on the helmet when it's drying the paint, he will ruin the paint, and it happened many times. So instead of letting dry manually inside the house, it's okay, now it's very hot, but with that paint station there, with the cure station, in 20 minutes after I paint, the helmet is super dry. I can already start to work on it. It's so much saving time. Okay, I should wear the mask, I know. Most of the part is removed. Now we start to use the 500 wet. How to use the wet sandpaper? Very simple. Take the sandpaper, take the water, wet. After you put the water, start to sand. This one must be done only by hand. You cannot use the machine. And this is the process that it will make the helmet very smooth, and also help this putty to melt, you see, with the water. So if there is some small gap with the water, is more easy to let them fill inside and cover it. And what is extra with the water, it becomes more soft and more easy to remove. So this is why I use the wet sandpaper. Normally with sandpaper I make in the garden, honestly. Less chance to make a mess. But I cannot do it in the garden now. So I'm trying to make here for you. As usual, guys, if you enjoy or you have any question, because every time people ask me something on Instagram only, you never ask me anything directly here on the eSUN channel. You can ask here directly. You can tag me, Silver Cos Lab, and ask me any information, any request, any tutorial that you want to see, and I will try to bring in the live for you. But this one, where you come from? but you need to tell me. Okay, you ask me on Instagram, but please also use the eSUN channel. So please, if you didn't subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, so every time me or one of my colleagues make some live, you can get a notification. And if you want, if you enjoy, you can follow us and stay with us. You see the melting putty? You enter in the gap, and the other part you can simply wash away. Yes, and it's very wet. The sandpaper sometimes stick. Okay, here the gap, it should totally be covered. Probably when I will spray, I should not be able to see anymore that line finally. And this one, it's work for all the parts. Please don't make the mistake that many people make after using the wet sandpaper. They say, okay, it's enough. I already reached 500. I'm good to go. And after the primer, and they see some imperfection, and they say, it's okay, I already passed the 500. I cannot do anything. If you can still find some imperfection, go back to 240, 120, whatever you need. Just work on that part. Don't need to sand everything again, of course. Continue to sand, because after, if you start to paint, you cannot do anything anymore. More time you spend now, better is the result, of course. So you spend a lot of time to print, a lot of time to sand, a lot of material. Make it good. Don't hurry. This is not something that you can do in a hurry. And after you finish to make the helmet, like many times happened to me, if you see some small imperfection here and there on the finished helmet that you already paint, don't do anything anymore, because it's more easy that you make worse. Keep it like this, and I use like memorandum of, look, last time I make like this one. Next time I have to make it better. For practice, for making this one good, you need practice and experience. At the beginning, you'll never be satisfied at 100%, but every time you should be a little bit better. You can experiment a new way to sand. At the beginning, I just used the normal sandpaper. I never used the putty filler or the resin or the wet sandpaper. I didn't know about this product. Checking online the tutorial, see other people that do this job very nice, and follow them, learn from their videos, studying online, and try to find my own way that is working for me. And this is what I suggest for you. You don't need to do exactly in my way. You can follow what I'm doing, make it in your way. The important that in the end, the result is good. At the end of the day, what we need is a smooth helmet. How you make, how long you need, is not a problem at all. All this extra gray here that you see, it's all extra putty that we need to remove. That's why I said it's better don't put too much where you don't need, because after you need to remove all. Yeah, oh my god, it's so smooth. Sandpaper with the water, it's very satisfying, especially when you pass with the finger and you feel it all very smooth. This looks like, okay, I spent a lot of time to make it but it's working. I almost come back to see the original color for the helmet. It's that, and that is mean that it's good because all the extra part I remove. Or you can see the paint. This means that it's part that it's under the, remember, -1 layer. You cover the gap, the imperfection, and now they're all on the same level. I pass with the finger because the eye, they can trick you. You can think that it's smooth sometimes. With the finger, you can feel better if there is some small part of putty stick. Almost finish also this part. Now, whenever you see gray from the putty, you need to insist because probably there is too much putty. Look here. Look, now it's full of gray. Here I need to insist a lot. To melt, make a liquid almost. What is extra, it will remove slowly, slowly. What's remaining, it's what we need. Especially on the corner here. Helmet I want to make very smooth, like resin. Actually, this one I think almost can enter on my resin printer, probably almost. Maybe if I print for a baby, he can fit. Should be nice to make one full helmet of the resin. The problem is, first one, the price. The resin is more expensive than the filament. Second, the weight. The resin, especially if you use the basic resin, is much heavier than PLA or PTG. And if you're using the tough or the elastic soft resin, the rubber one, that one very, very expensive. So it's not very practical for making one helmet for cosplay. Third one, it's not very safe to put a resin near on your face, eyes and nose, even if you're curing and everything. If it's a miniature, okay, but if you need to wearing and keeping all the time near your eyes and nose, it's not really the best. And the last, it's fragile, except if you don't use the expensive tough resin. If a helmet fall down, crush in 1,000 of pieces. If this one fall down, maybe it will survive, or maybe it will just break in 2 parts and you can try to fix it. What happened to my hard disk? This sometimes pop in, pop out. Okay, remaining the last part. It's difficult to hold this helmet and try to show you in the camera. You can see in the camera, yes, okay. I got this poor desk. At the beginning it was so clean and nice. I don't know what my cat are doing. paper robot, the circle one, for start to remove all the extra parts that can happen remaining on the print. After that one, I send again to 320 to make it a little bit more smooth. And after, I apply a thin layer of resin for start to cover all the small imperfection. After apply the resin, I cure it, and it's what I did last time in the live in 1 hour, very fast. After curing the helmet, I apply one thin layer of primer to help me to see where was the imperfection. And here we are where we are today. After that one, I start to sand again with the 240 for remove all the extra part. 320, and after with the 500 wet, and is what I'm doing now. I hope I can fix it, this part that it will be very annoying every time. After this one, I will let it dry. When it's totally dry, I will pass another thin layer of primer and see how is this. If it's good, probably not, I'm ready to go and start to apply more wet sandpaper. If I find some small imperfection, apply again some putty just in that part. Sandpaper with the water again, primer, and repeat until I'm not full satisfied of the result. After that, I will continue to sand until 2000 wet, and finally I will start to paint. For paint this one, normally for making a nice cool metal effect, first one I use a black glossy on the primer, of course, to give a base, glossy lucent base. After, I apply one chromo metal paint for give the metal effect, a very thin layer, so it doesn't cover too much the black. And on that one, I will start to paint. First one, I will paint the purple here, that is the border, that is smaller. And when it's totally dry, 100% sure that it's dry, I will mask with some tape and apply the red over all the other part of the helmet, and it's ready. This one is very fast to paint, just to color. I almost finished the last part here. I hope this is good. Also, because for the next live, I have another project I want to show to you. I printed already a gun from Apex, the wind maker. I don't remember the name. Not a player of Apex Legend, but it's very cool because you can functionally use, so you can open and close. And I ordered some spring already. The first spring has some problems, so I ordered another one. And next time in the live, if everything is okay, I will assemble in the live with you, show how to print, where to find the file, that is a free file, and talk with you. Okay, I think it's enough. Let me dry a little bit with this Scottex. Okay. Oh my god, this table, poor table. Now that you dry, you can see if there is still some part that you need to be sanded, probably. When it's totally wet, it's more difficult to find. For example, here I found a spot. Here there is another one. You can see some dirty area, dark gray, and still some putty that is remaining there. Here a little bit more rough. The left part with the seam is very annoying. Okay, I can feel it with the finger that is still a little bit dirty there. Now this is that 100 and the 300. So you see, after you finish, you can still find some spot. Still rough here, unbelievable. Maybe it's just dirty, I don't know. I need to wash it for good under the water and check. Okay, I can feel it with the finger. It's not smooth. Maybe it's just the paper left some dirty. Yeah, I think it's the paper. Now I will wash again under here, not under the sink. I remove all the extra part so it's not dirty anymore. And then I'll always put a bucket for collecting the water and let them dry naturally. And tomorrow, if the weather assists me, I can pass the second primer, and maybe I will post a picture on my Instagram to let you see the state of the helmet. Okay, here we are. Easy enough. Now the difficult part, it will be to clean all this mess before my wife arrives. So guys, today it was like this one. It was a lot of sanding, but many people ask me every time, how is the procedure for smooth the helmet? This is the second stage. It will be a third and a fourth. More time you spend making here, better will be in the end. So you don't have to rush, you don't need to hurry up, you need to take your time and make it slowly but good. So thank you for staying with me these 15 minutes. I hope you enjoy how is the process. I hope you understand and enjoy what I said, if I explained correctly. If you have any doubt, any question, remember to write in the comments. Let me know anything. Let me see if I can help you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel here and on my Instagram, where I post every time how is going the process of my helmet and all my works. So thank you for joining me, and see you next week. Bye bye.